I know you were in Cape Town as well, and that is a big trip. It's obviously positive around the injuries, it sounds like. But how did that trip go for you and for the team, and how big an ask is it to come back to Europe and play a big game so soon?
The long trip. I could tell this because it's 30 hours of transition. Not only the plane, of course, but the waiting at the airport, several airports. For me, it was quite difficult because I have to go through Dubai before coming back to Paris. For the Rochelais, it was quite calmer because they made Cape Town, Johannesburg, Paris, and then they went to Beauvais to take a plane to go to Cork. So it was quite long for them too, but they travel in business class, so it's not totally the same for them than for me. And for the staff is traveling in economy class too, so for them it was quite longer too. I can imagine. But it's not a good thing ecologically, economically. It's quite difficult. But for La Rochelle, this trip is quite important because since the beginning of the start of the season, they couldn't be together all the group, because there was the World Cup. Gregory Algit, after the World Cup, made a cut with 2.5 months. So it's the first time since the start of the season they are all together, except important injured players like Reda Wardi, Pierre Bourgarit. We've got Georges-Henri Colombre-Hazel and Thierry Paiva too. But for the other one, it's like it's a new season, not in terms of results, but in terms of cohesion. It's a very important period of the season, in my opinion.
As I say, Mer, when we were listening to the French answers, the only words that I was able to pick up were Cork and Très bien, which makes sense. But it was interesting. I asked Donica obviously about how they're getting on here and the purpose behind coming to Cork for the week. And like you made the point that, as you'd expect, they've been made to feel unbelievably welcome. Like when they're going through the airport, they didn't have to hand in their passports. I'm not sure if he should have divulged that information, to be totally honest. And I'm not sure if I should be relaying it on a podcast. But basically, there was that immediate familiarity as Rog walked through. And they've obviously had a nice time at Folda. They were in Temple Hill on Tuesday, training up at Cork Cons ground, where they were greeted by Donald Lenihan, Brian Hickey, and a sign as well, relaying that famous Rog message about l'opportunité, which was probably a nice touch from his home club. And equally, the staff went out for dinner last night and bumped into the Lord Mayor of Cork, who was with some kind of a French ambassador or French dignitary. And he came over to their table and stressed to La Rochelle's staff that Rog actually has the freedom of Cork, which I think they were quite impressed with as well. So I think they've been having a pretty good time in what is obviously are very difficult circumstances with all of that travel and just the amount of time that Ben has outlined there. And like, just to put that into context a little bit, Donica Ryan was saying they wanted to go to see an Aaron's own hurling match last night and bring some of the French lads along. But because they were just jet lagged, tired, they had to push their training back at Con into the evening. Like, they just needed the players to have that extra few hours rest. So they missed that hurling match, which was a pity, but I'm sure they'll be strolling around Cork today. He made the point that a few of those players will try and catch up with Munster players who they know and who they've played against. You can imagine the likes of Jack Noel, for example, being friendly with some of those Munster guys, I'd imagine. So,
yeah.
And Delan, obviously.
You had Simon Zebo having dinner with Delan and Johan Tanga from Racing last night as well. It's a really interesting way to do the week, and I think it makes a lot of sense when you outline it, when you both outline it like that, the travel and also the fact that they're just going to be together in camp, getting ready for the latest chapter. Ben, I'm curious what you have made of this season, and you're right, it is kind of distinct now, this portion of the season. But how have La Rochelle been playing? Are they the same force that they have been?
No, not well, I'm afraid. We could summarize this season with the 4 last games of La Rochelle. They only played maybe 20 minutes, 15 a game. It could be sufficient to win, sorry, against Stormers, because they played only 20 minutes, and everybody spoke about a miracle. That I disagree, because Antoine Astoy too missed a kick, a conversion, 5 minutes or 6 minutes before Manny Libok. So the season of La Rochelle, it's difficult, because with the World Cup, the Six Nations, as I said, they never had the whole group to work, and so that's the first point. It's the first time. You could imagine Will Skelton and Greg Aldrit are key player for La Rochelle, and they only played 5 games together this season. They won. La Rochelle won the 5. So, and the 3 only away victory was with those 2 players. So it's an important thing, but it's not the only explanation, because La Rochelle is struggling with his mind, their mind, this season, because we've got the feeling that sometimes they think that it's easy. Okay, we only have to play and we're gonna win. Maybe it's the back-to-back champions that provokes this. I don't know, but this time they are less underdogs than the previous seasons, and whereas they say that okay, we understand the lessons, we take the lessons, and we could apply them. Few games during the season, we recognize the same mistakes, the same mindset, which too easy to I cannot explain good in English, but they don't have the same strengths, but it's a group that knows how to win, and who recognize the big games. And they know that in top 14 they're not in the best situation. They know that Leinster and Aviva, it's a huge challenge for them, and they do enjoy this kind of challenges. They really do, and they know that there are some criticals, and they want to show Europe and France how strong they are. So I think this is an important point, a key point for this season, this game.